press cross button.
Oi, look out, you knob.
You've been activated. Blink twice if you need backup.
I can't think of any sort of solution either. Well, I think we ought to be searching for one.
That is a cool god.
Nibbling away on the rotting carcass of the once free Britain.
Yum, yum.
Hello, Resistance fans. You're listening to the Bug Podcast, the objective voice of objection for this most objectionable world. I am Andy, not my real name, so good luck finding me, Monsieur Bloom. My real name is, in fact, Andrew, and I live in, note this down, a deluded pseudo-reality of my own making, which is, in fact, the most densely populated place on Earth these days, overcrowded, some might say. Joining me, as always, my next-door neighbour in these Netherlands of nonsense. It's Alice.
Yes, indeed, it is Alice. Alice, who the bleep is Alice? I am not going to tell you that. But you can just sort of sense it from the timbre of my voice.
Let's spin the wheel and find out where we're getting today's news from. Here. It's coming from here. I must get a new wheel in at least one other place on it. And the headline today, Alice, our borders are safe. We can all sleep easy in our well-bordered beds. 4,000 illegals were deported last month. These illegal people breaking the law just by existing. And of course, illegality is contagious. It can osmose through your skin just by standing next to a person. So we've got rid of 4,000 of them. My question for you, Alice, is why only 4,000? Is that really enough? I will not feel safe until at least another 75 million people have been deported from this country, and I'm here in Britain on my own.
As a bleeding heart lefty, Andy, I would normally be outraged about this, but really I think mass deportation is a very handy way to break up with a partner. I'm sorry, baby, I love you, but an anonymous source has reported you for snoring really loudly in a French way.
So everyone out, no exceptions. Alice, not even you. It's for the good of the country. Everyone out, unless you can prove that your family are in the background of the Bayeux Tapestry cheering on King Harold at the Battle of Hastings in 1066. Get out. Actually, that's not British enough. Unless you can show unarguably that your direct bloodline is untainted by anything since before the Romans. Actually, scratch that. Unless your direct ancestor was personally responsible for building Stonehenge, get out of my country. I guess when you look at it, you know, the best ways to stop immigration, apart from, obviously, the end of the world, to make the place you want to stop people coming to as unpleasant as possible. So,
Well, we absolutely are doing that, Andy.
well, you know, fair play to government first. Another option, extend the White Cliffs of Dover. They've been resting on their laurels for too long. Very inefficient, it turns out, as a means of stopping immigration. We need to extend them by about another 11,000 miles, a full wrap around Great Britain, and they could do it being about 1.5 kilometres higher as well, with a special greasy coating to stop people clambering over the top or however they get in.
Well, get one of these.
Oi, big man.
Is everyone not looking for trouble?
Can you please just calm down? That crosses the line. Yeah.
When you think of all the health professionals we've stolen from overseas over the years here in Britain, it's quite possible that all these people are just coming here to try to get an appointment with their local doctor.
Yes, Andy certainly is someone who came from the expanded arm of the empire when Britain was still reaching out rather than folding in on itself. Most of us just come here to visit our stuff in the museums.
It's the British way.
Speaking of international movement, Britain has recalled all European ambassadors after a spy scandal. This is probably a good thing, because British foreign politicians are always putting their foot in their mouths. How much worse can they do if they're not there? I mean, by definition, the fact that there's a spy scandal means that they were terrible spies. The point of spies is that there's never a spy scandal.
Yeah, but let's give credit to all the spies that haven't been in scandals and therefore might as well not exist.
Well, they've arrested those German spies in that SIRS crackdown on the illegals in Hackney, and I think that's a sad thing. I think I used to think of Germans as quite scary, but that was because I'd been watching World War II movies with English accents.
In your area, potentially armed
Now
and
Germans all
hostile.
have that American accent.
Received.
We're having a really nice time.
Well, that's all today, folks. Just remember, it's not as bad as it seems. Honestly.
Where did they go?
Join us for our series, Born in Limbo, What Lies Ahead for Little Vicky Pulowski, as we explore the plight of children born to
Control,
undocumented
I can't see the
parents.
suspect. Please
Tonight
advise.
on GBB.
Return to HQ. This is pointless.
This is London Calling. You're listening to me, Tash, and Buccaneer. Your source for what they don't know.
The suspect reported in your area, potentially armed and hostile.
As we know, the broadcasting is and privatize the corporation. Today, GBB is a shadow of this force. Become a force to search it.
Take the vehicle out!
Let's get some patrol units on
Our
standby.
experts speak on conditions of anonymity for their own safety. Here's disinformation media
Negative.
expert
No
Charles.
sign of the
He's seen
target
free
yet.
broadcasters built up by journalists and torn down by Democrats all over the world.
So before the media fragment, there was this voice
Control,
of authority
we're
that was
heading back.
trusted
Over.
and worthy of trust. Then what we ended up with is a really commercial model where whether you're talking about an app on a smart device or whether you're talking about a broadcaster, the most important thing is the longest amount of
Gun! Gun! They have a gun!
authorities are here to protect you.
You're not stupid. Don't you find it ridiculous?
The fuck?
Toe rag.
And I see it coming every time. Every time. But that's not a good thing. It's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Television programs do novels to follow a formula. Even when they're attempting to subvert it.
Possible. And because that meant money in their pocket. And in order to do that, a couple of things happened. One was the use of manipulative techniques around behavioral economics, things that would just keep you scrolling or keep you listening or keep you looking for more information. The second is that that kind of environment favors sensationalism. And so you got more sensational headlines and more sensational stories, and it didn't matter whether they were true or not. It just kept people in, and it kept them in the loop. So we ended up in a situation where nobody trusted anything, and nobody believed anything at all. And that is the perfect environment for an authoritarian voice to come in and say, no, wait, we are the truth. So the ground for this environment really got created when we had suddenly authoritarian politicians everywhere, and anything that threatened them or they disagreed with, they would call it disinformation. That's disinformation, that's fake news. And again, we got in a situation where nobody really believed anything. And the trouble is, if you were telling the truth, it's very hard to get your message to cut through all of the noise of all of the disinformation that's there. So like, you know, you remember Out on the Edges, there was this story about when they would take a house by force, they would take any infants and they would crucify them. And that's a great, fantastic, viral story. How do you counter that story? With the truth. The only way you counter it is by saying...
All right, find me back in this vehicle!
And of course, no one wants to spread that story. No one wants to hear that story. They want to hear the sensationalism. They want to hear how people were victims of violence when in fact they weren't. Or they were victims of insurgent forces when in fact they weren't.
The news isn't neutral, it's a battleground. Here's media researcher and academic Alfie.
The media has, of course, been perhaps the key way in which governments have controlled and influenced their populations. So, totalitarian countries have typically used huge mainstream media outlets to sell one kind of news, one kind of biased news to its population. Of course, the media has always played this kind of key role in methods of self-control. I think what's happening now is perhaps even more...
Sirs HQ, where we keep all of London's secrets.
Riding that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. Yep. No. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Not worth my time.
Okay, asshole. You think you can stop me? Ah, shit. Don't mind me. I have all my credentials. Shit. Okay, you're letting me in now or I beat you up. Oh, I mean...
send this to everyone.
But
yeah, no, I told him that.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my god, I know. No, so, yeah, so that's exactly what I said. I'm just gonna call him. And
no. Yeah. Well, maybe.
yeah.
Right. Yes. Now you mean.
Next week? Yeah.
Right now, how did...
Okay.
Hang on.
Yeah. Well, no. Yes.
Home.
Yes.
No, she's in the kitchen on the right. Yes, I did. It's in the kitchen on the... Will you let me finish?
No.
Yes, it's in the kitchen.
Well, maybe.
What?
Do you mind? Yeah, well.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. Yep.
All persons are advised to be vigilant and report any and all suspicious activity.
I hear what you say. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yes. I know what you mean.
Yes. Yeah, hang on a minute. No, I didn't say that. Yeah, no, I told him that. Yeah.
Facial
Oh my God, I
recognition is
know.
fundamental to everyone's security. Any person intentionally masking or otherwise obscuring their face from detection will be prosecuted.
How many times? Yes, I understand.
Just give me a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, but you're not listening. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes, I get it. I really do.
Something's dodgy here.
visual.
Stay alert.
Sweep everything until you find him.
Somebody's messing with me.
Drone, full sweep of the area. Live alarm. Location sent. Need a 10:30.
Ducking. They're around here somewhere.
Moron.
Moving on. Stop this!
All clear here. Moving on.
Stick to procedure.
Moving on. There's nothing here.
They're around here somewhere. Drone, search here.
Fucker could be anywhere. Come out! Wherever you are! Eyes open, weapons ready.
Search protocols engaged. Target will be apprehended.
I definitely heard
What was
something.
that?
Health and safety services required.
Drone, follow me.
Yeah, whatever.
Go fuck yourself, Robo.
Want to take me for a ride?
From the Buccaneer, this is the Bug. Hello, Resistors, it's bug time. Are you all sitting comfortably? No? Good. That's as it should be. This is the Bug. I'm Andy, and joining me to analyse the latest blowflies to emerge from the corpse of a once free Britain, it's Alice.
Hello, Andy.
And today, we're going to talk to you about Albion, your friends of mine. Alice, the government has extended Albion's contract and have also boasted that violent crime has plummeted to a record low. Now, extending Albion's contract, to me, that's like having a pet dog, let's call it Nigel for the sake of argument, that attacks you every single day and thinking to yourself, Wouldn't it be nice if Nigel had puppies?
That contract has been extended so many times. It's like the neck of a politician that's criticised the government.
I'm not sure entirely how those contract extension negotiations went. Probably like a footballer. In the old days, I assume Albion's agent was leaking stories to the press about how our favourite private militia was being tapped up by Barcelona. The government panics and thinks, well, we better get them signed up before it's too late. But still, violent crime, a record low, although I imagine that probably depends exactly how you count it. If you include violent crime committed by the state, either themselves or via Albion, their chosen violent crime contractors who provide such a very valuable bargain service of beating people up, well, it's probably not quite as low as the figures suggest.
I don't know. I think they're probably right. Who has the opportunity to commit violent crime these days anyway? The moment you pick up a fruit knife, you get tasered by a robot policeman and deported to the Bulgaria. It's a much more peaceful society. It's much less of a society.
I want to know the details of the contracts, Alice. I mean, are they paid per dissident duffed up? Is it a set rate for each extrajudicial state mugging? And what is that rate? What do you think?
It certainly look like it. I don't think we've ever had a Prime Minister.
Well, that's a much more reassuring way of looking at things. What have we become, Alice? Really look at us. And do we actually own anything as a country now? Is there anything we haven't flogged off for profit? Oh, I think we've basically just become a homeopathic Britain. Diluted and diluted until there's barely a trace of the original Britain left. But some quackish lunatics insist it actually works better that way. It's total bullshit. Is there anything left? New on the bug this week, a new feature. The Bug Off feature. The person who is most irritated.
I'm sick of being recommended things based on things I already like. The other day it recommended me to watch a reality TV competitive dating show set in a nude commune. Andy, I watched it and I liked it, and I do not want to be the kind of person who enjoys nude competitive reality television dating shows. I did not want to know that about myself. I have to go sit in the corner and cry.
That's it from the bug. Don't forget the live show that is so secret it is definitely not happening at the usual time and place this month. Definitely not. Definitely do not tell anyone not to come to it. Definitely not happening.
Fucking twat.
Welcome back to the episode. Today we're talking about cryptocurrency. Crypto now seems like it's been around forever, but it's really quite a new invention. Were you an early adopter?
I was one of the first, but it's been on the market. There seems to be a new way of financial transaction.
That's it, a new way of money. It's something that we could completely reinvent and change some of the legacy financial systems around the world and really give power back to the people.
Yeah, it was a real shift in the way that the world works. Let's recap the basics. So, central to cryptocurrency is the distributed ledger technology, the tech that keeps track of all transactions. And what this means is you can have a decentralized system without having to trust any one party, like old-fashioned banks.
One of the reasons why I got involved so early was that you could stay anonymous.
Yeah, the features of cryptocurrency very much fit into that early mindset. It was all about finding an alternative to centralized systems. It was kind of a countercultural punk ethos. The whole point of the distributed ledger is you're not trusting any one person to keep a track of who has what money or how they're spending it. It's all out there in the open for anyone to see, and yet you can remain secretive.
But not everybody now wants to keep up this crypto legacy. They don't share this attitude anymore. We've seen institutions, businesses, even governments.
Over there.
Which turned out to be much more stable.
Kind of the opposite to what people thought in the beginning.
And then, of course, there was the recession. It didn't take long for startups to see an opportunity in this new way of doing finance. A lot of traditional money was converted to crypto, and it really shook up the financial sector.
Can you remember when they first introduced crypto cash points?
That was really sneaky. It was a classic startup behaviour. They just installed them everywhere. No consultation with the government, no approval or anything. But people immediately started to use them.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of how Bloom put out the Optic. They just made it free and flooded the streets with these devices. Suddenly, everyone had them.
If there's this great option of tech, people are just going to start using it, no matter the cost.
Parliament actually tried to put a stop to the cash points, but people were using them so much already. There was outrage. I mean, some parts of London were already using crypto as their primary currency by then.
And now, apparently, or at least in theory, crypto is illegal.
Yeah, in May this year, economists found that crypto was being traded more than the pound, and banks were not happy. They basically forced the government to ban cryptocurrency in a last-ditch effort to save the pound.
But it's not like that's worked. People are still using crypto, and it's been pushed further, deeper underground. Things used to work fine with crypto, and it was just a peer-to-peer sharing economy-style system. Now it's all on the dark web, wrapped up again in organised crime.
Yeah, if you want to make something thrive on the black market, just make it illegal.
This is London Calling. You're here with me, Tash, the Buccaneer, your source for what they don't want. In today's world, we all had to get used to our every move being tracked by the optic of our temples, by the cameras around us, and with every click we make online. It seems like everything we do feeds the big data beast. Why are data giants like Blue so hungry to get hold of our private information and our metadata? What are they using it for? Will we ever have real private lives again? What is privacy in the digital world? And what happens when capitalism and surveillance become one? As you know, we keep all things confidential. Speaking from a secure location, here's new technology strategist Charles, who worked all over the world trying to keep democracy strong in the face of the data assault.
If you have enough personal data on somebody, you're able to predict what it is that they're going to do. You can tell what they might be passionate about, but mostly you can tell what they fear. And if you can tell what someone fears, then you can manipulate them and you can move them in particular directions. Data is collected on citizens in every possible way. Data is collected through surveillance cameras. Data is collected from television sets. They don't even necessarily need to be super smart television sets. Data is collected from voter records. It's collected from how much power do you use in your house, and how much water you use in your house. In pre-crisis Britain, we got really used to all of our services being free. Everything suddenly became free that was digital. But what people forgot is that if you're not paying for it, then you're the product being sold.
If technology brings out the worst in capitalism, capitalism brings out the worst in technology. Senior academic output tells us how big business repurposes big data.
Historically, what's happened, of course, is that people have traded their privacy for their convenience as smartphones and other kinds of technology came in and became mass-consumed, mass-used items and technological objects. Gradually, people were so attracted to the affordances of these technologies that privacy kind of retreated into the background and into a state we've got now, where it's essentially gone. Having this access to this data makes huge tech companies like Bloom so much more powerful than they would be otherwise, and not just in the obvious ways. Of course, there's a lot of worry and fear over what they can do with the data. They can track anyone, find anyone, see what every individual is doing at any point in time.
I think there's even deeper control our society and make it.
Oh no! Are you supposed to help us?
Do things. So lots of predictive technologies which are implemented by these tech giants. It's not only interested in knowing what we're going to do, but influencing the patterns of our movement. So technologies might suggest routes to use in the city, places to go, restaurants to go to, cafes to go to, music to listen to. And these suggestions are not just predicting what we might like to do, they're actually influencing the way citizens move, think, eat, meet, and use their city as a space. So London has become a place where a small group of surveillance capitalist companies like Bloom can control the movements of individuals and orchestrate the way they move around their city and the way they essentially live, the things they do, the things they enjoy, the life they lead. So we're really kind of outsourcing our decision making, I would say, to a huge corporate capitalist company, and that's something very, very scary about that indeed. All these technologies can be used to not only influence us to act as a perfect consumer, but also to prevent us from doing radical and revolutionary things. So technologies in foreign nations have been used for things like heat map features, population gathering, in-game rewards can be offered to people to take different routes, things like that. Traffic data can be manipulated to prevent people gathering and protesting, as has happened in some of the authoritarian regimes across the world recently. So what we're looking at is not only a set of technologies which make people behave as ideal consumers, but ones which actually can be put to use to prevent radical and disruptive behaviour in the city, which limits the power of any kind of revolutionary force.
So, if you thought you had a private life, get used to it. You don't. And we're not going to reclaim our lives without a fight. I'm Tash, and you've been listening to Buccaneer, keeping the resistance informed. Keep listening, keep fighting, and remember, nobody owns you but you.
$1.5 billion passengers a year.
Across 450 kilometres of network.
25,000 cameras work with 3,500...
Pendable.
Westgate.
London Underground. Getting people where they need to go for open
You're done for now.
Are you mental?
I love it.
All units, I say again, all units, we have reports of a hostile in your area, over. Approaching with caution, over.
Looks like it really moves.
You're listening to the bar.
Nibbling away on the rotting carcass of a once free Britain. Hello, resistors, this is the Bug, keeping the fire of hope alive in the vacuum of today's Britain. Okay, fires don't burn in vacuums. It's a little novelty Christmas light. shaped like a flame, but it's something. It is something to cling to. Joining me,
Control,
as always,
I've
is,
lost sight of the target.
And Alice, hold the front page. Technology apparently is here to stay. There's no way around that now. Much as I'd like to go back to the 18th century and see if we can have another crack at the Industrial Revolution and get it later on this time.
Terminating
But
pursuit
new
and coming
tech
back.
is creating 4,000 jobs. Count them all, 4,000 new jobs. Thanks to this new tech investment.
I mean, that's a very
exciting thing for someone who wants to work in the tech sector, but I can only assume that this tech investment is creating 4,000 jobs.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
You're joking?
Control to all units. Possible hostiles near your location.
Received. We'll engage if necessary. Putting an end to the chase now.
You could program it to be...
Target is on foot. I say again, target on foot.
Again, I insist that there's never been a
We have
Prime
an officer
Minister.
in need
I've
of
never seen him,
medical
I've never heard
attention.
of him. The only times I ever hear what the Prime Minister does is when nothing happens.
I mean, it has reached a point where, and I've thought this for a long time,
Just witnessed a road accident. Over.
if the Prime Minister was a watermelon.
Pursuing the target.
No, it would be,
Over.
I think we'd all be happy with that. We'd all know it was good.
Any sign of the target?
Being praised for his
Anyone?
diplomatic skills all the times, but the best mark of diplomacy is when nothing happens. So good diplomacy is indistinguishable from him doing absolutely nothing.
4,000 new dream jobs for everyone. All I can say, Alice, is that I'm very glad that my children studied drama at school, because that has set them up
No
for
sign
life
of the target.
in
Over.
modern Britain. That is the one core skill they need, the ability to pretend that they're living happy and fulfilled lives, that they have jobs that are worth doing, and that they're making the planet a better place, and that they control their own destinies, and that they have even a parody of a price
Search
tag,
units
and that they can
disengaged.
smile
This
without
search is
crying.
pointless.
That's what drama teaches them to do. Crucial skills in this day and age. Of course, it's not just the jobs that have been technologicalised beyond all recognition. It is also all reality. Thanks to optics.
The government is scamming us! Jam them on!
All units, possible suspect or suspects reported near your location. We're on their tail. Over.
Apologies.
Well, there has been some news about DedSec, the resistance and
Any other patrols have eyes on the suspect, over?
Not preference, sorry, delete according to whether or not you work for the government, sirs, including Kelly's or Alvin. According to a CERS official, DedSec is no longer a threat, which I guess is true.
Received.
Reminds you that my
Returning to
great
HQ,
aunt Gladys had her appendix out. Oh, Andy, that surgeon's a real threat, slapping that knife at me, trying to knock me out. Well, they call a scalpel and an anaesthetic, Gladys. Anyway, if CERS officials say DedSec is dead and buried, I guess we have to assume that DedSec has never been stronger. But I do worry. Alex, can you come to the thing?
I think it's allowed to have possibility in
Excuse me. Oh, wait, I could go for a ride in that. Yo, check this whip thing.
They operate as
because it's proxy.
Urgent call. Possible hostile at your location.
Control, we've received the call, over.
Negative.
We're looking at all the wrong
No sign of
things when
suspect.
we look at
Over.
Britain's crisis. There's a lot of concentration on data, how that's been used and manipulated, and what we haven't looked at is the power structures and the profit that
No
lies
visual of
behind
target.
this.
Ending
For
pursuit.
example,
Over.
if we examine what actually happened, you know, there's a company that's really very interested in selling passports and making it easy to provide visas for investment and so on. And historically, throughout the world, working with this big data manipulation company in order to overthrow government, and then suddenly all the shipping is going home to you. Nobody could find any receipts for what was paid for. Nobody could figure out how things were done, but everybody had a feeling that something really was stuck, and they couldn't figure it out. And yet, it was standing there in their face the whole time. There's a couple of things. One, you have a lot of small organizations, smaller power groups, companies as well, who are bending things just a little, compromise a little bit, bend the rules a little bit,
Just stay calm.
Everyone is okay.
That's fantastic.
to achieve that's good for us. And if you add all of that up, what you end up with is a big wall moving in a big way from a lot of little buttons being pushed. But also there's this other thing that's going on here, is the gathering of data and the analysis of data has authoritarianism contained within its DNA. It is by its nature a tool for authoritarianism, and it has been used.
How does big...
into what are called social credit systems. This is where every aspect of your behaviour is monitored and totted up by a central system. And then this can be used to evaluate you as a person.
And this could mean, for example, that the travel privileges, being able to travel first class, or being denied from travelling first class to not being allowed to travel at all. These systems are very real and very possible because of all of the data that is now held on us.
So if your ears are burning and you think someone might be watching you, you're probably right. They're watching all of us. I'm Tash, and you've been listening to Buccaneer. Keep listening, keep sharing the show, and keep it encrypted. They're watching us.
Today on The Upload, we're talking about Sky Larson, the enigmatic founder of Broker Tech. Everyone knows her name, but no one knows too much about her. We only really see her these days as a hologram. She was pretty young.
Actually that much more we know about her other than this tech that she's put out into the world.
I've always found it a bit creepy that she's so obsessed with this idea of transhumanism.
Why wouldn't you be? When you've got a mind as amazing as Sky's, why wouldn't you want to take what you've got and actually augment it by working with technology, by improving your physical self, changing your body and the world around you, implementing more technology to extend your life and really sort of extend human capabilities?
You sound pretty much in love with Sky Larson, I have to say.
I can't comment on that, but I am a big fan of her work. She's been one of these people that has transformed the world around us, and just watching how her mind works from afar is pretty incredible, because some of what the technology she's introduced has changed how we all live our lives, and Bagley has been this really incredible assistance to humanity as a whole. Did I ever tell you that I actually interviewed Sky Larson once?
Really? I thought she never spoke to the media or anything.
So this was a long time ago, back in the day when she was a little bit more accessible, and she was one of these people that just had an amazing presence. You were inspired by her very being, and she was... Obviously despises humanity in some ways. I think she believes that becoming data is preferable to being human. She's one of these people who's extremely methodical in everything that she does, and she does everything to perfection and really tries to change the world around her and make it a better place for us to live in.
If you say so.
Rents and housing prices have risen steeply, and the ranks of the homeless grows daily. Many argue that housing reform drags because MPs are often landlords themselves. Join us tonight at GBB to learn the facts.
The Bug. Objective voice of objection for a most objectionable world. Hello, Bugsters. Welcome to The Bug, the comedy show that holds up the Medusa of satire to the already immovably concrete face of modern Britain. I'm Andy, I bench 480, and I can crack a tree in half just by looking at it. Can I? Well, what is reality anymore, anyway? Alice, what do you think? Just put those words official poll through an online translator in case you didn't study languages, so find out what it actually means. Made up lie. There we go. Glad to clear that up. I think it's fair to say, entirely trust these official polls they feed us, Alex. I mean, they could publish an official poll saying that over 99.9% of children like ice cream, and I would instantly assume that all children now hate all ice cream and would prefer to eat a bucket of gravel mixed with dead badger. They could publish an official poll saying that 10 out of 10 cats prefer cat food to being whacked with a tennis racket, and I would assume that all cats have gone vegan and were queuing up outside Wimbledon meowing, choose me, choose me.
I trust these polls as much as I trust someone recommending a movie that they watched during a breakup. Your judgment is impaired, Sally. I'll make my own decisions.
I trust those polls as much as I would trust Mary